Ladies and Germans, how are you all doing? This is Come Over.
I'm Ringru, low.
And folks, the ongoing Red Storm 44 League continues. Here on Orsha North, Rang, who's in this first of our two replays this week?
Well, on the left-hand side in the blue, we have ourselves Robert playing the 78th Sturm division. And on the right-hand side in the red, we have ourselves Gearhead117 playing as the third VDD.
You know, looking at these decks overall, I mean, we talked a little bit about this before we went live here. 78th Sturm Vanilla hasn't really got the same amount of attention it might have gotten when it initially was in to the game. Why see it here? I mean, third VDV, we've definitely talked about the issues that it has. Does the 78th Sturm match up favorably, or is this kind of like luck of the draw here?
78th Sturm in the mod is definitely a little bit more interesting. You have Tigers for runners to start. It actually has a lot of heavy firepower of the Tigers and Ashorn. It's a lot more expensive stuff. The infantry, of course, is very good, but definitely a little bit more pricey. It'd be interesting to see. You don't have as much infantry availability in total compared to third VDV, but they should do decently. Third VDV also has, you know, ISUs, which will help out quite a bit of dealing with heavy anti-tank. So this is two like elite infantry formations going at it with heavy fire support. So it should be a pretty interesting match.
Well, the thing I think I'm kind of quite fascinated by is that the third VDD over here has really not that many tanks. You could argue 78th Sturm doesn't have a whole lot either. It's got a lot more assault guns. But the fact remains, we have an armored vehicle, I would say, advantage over on the German side, at least on the face of it.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. The T-34s are definitely nice to throw into cheap CQC fights compared to Stugs. And you do have the SUs and ISUs to help even out the odds. But just looking at its opening deployment, nothing really too crazy from both sides. Just a standard spread all across the map. And Herr getting some 20mm flat guns right into the fray versus some Maxims.
Well, and not just the Maxims, also the 50mm mortars, though, too.
Yeah.
So 50mm mortars going to go and start engaging the infantry to the south. We have the BF-109 going after Desante Superi over here in the middle. Not super shocking. I think I'm more surprised to see this early, the PE-3, but oof.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a bit of air power early on here from both sides. And once again, these are the support versions of the Flag 38, which come in the support tab, meaning that they can't shoot at aircraft. As some anti-aircraft units are on the support tab as direct fire support.
And yeah, that's kind of the fascinating thing here, isn't it? One to the south is actually going to be pretty much out of his AP ammo pretty damn quickly here. But he damaged his optics, and the tracks are broken, so, I mean, technically he did his job.
Yeah, it's going to keep that tank pinned down for now, as we have a whole heap of scary pioneers moving through. And it's also really scary when your reconnaissance troops also have flamethrowers, so I don't think that T-34 is going to live for much longer. I do like Gearhead is going to be doing some counter-battering of the 50mm mortar.
Well, right now the 50mm mortar just wants to go and bracket everything, so he's still trying to find his range. He's fired off like 7 rounds, and all of them have done 0 morale damage, so it's quite impressive.
That's pretty pathetic. Those things are usually dead on accurate. We got some T-26s from the German side trying to move through the road down south, but going to be running some PTRDs.
Yeah, and this is, I think, really why we don't see the T-26s being used even by the Russians here either.
Yeah, not exactly a great tank by 1944 standards, especially if only reconnaissance support. He's just asking to get sniped there by an anti-tank rifle.
Oh, absolutely. I do want to make a quick call out. We did have an Su-85 over here in the center, and Stug already asserting its early dominance there. Kind of hard to forget that the Su-85 really only has 75mm of armor. It seems so much more terrifying in the game. I mean, when it kind of engages the P4s, but against a Stug, it's surprisingly meager kind of competition.
Yeah, it's a pretty even fight between that and the Stug, really. Like, Su-85, I mean, it is essentially just the Russian version of a Stug, but without the machine gun, of course, and the sexy antenna and bazooka skirt. That's really what makes the Stug. Down south here, Gearhead is making actually great progress, moving through the forest and getting into the opposing farmstead here with his Desantniki, Radevkas, and Avtos as well. So going to be forcing some of these T-26s to fall back and try and deal with this threat.
I don't know that that's really a fair way to kind of say that they're dealing with that threat, 'cause I feel like these T-60s over here are just awful.
Yeah, not great. At the same time, Herr Robert moving pretty effectively down south with his pioneer troops. He's not going to continue to push right now, I believe, just because he doesn't have any fire support for an open ground engagement, but he could potentially, trade his southern hill for his farmstead position, which I feel like is what's going to happen.
Well, and he's also going to be bringing in the BF-109, so he's going to go and rocket that entire little complex there. Exactly what he needs to be doing, honestly.
Yeah.
Yep. Killed one squad, that one's pinned down. I always forget how devastating that ammunition is.
Yeah.
This kind of material. Yes, sir.
And blowing up both buildings completely, too, which is... Yep, I mean, Herr Robert's going to be able to retake that point pretty easy peasy, like.
That's true. All it cost him was to these whacked out, P740s.
Yeah.
Not to be outdone, though, we have PE3 going the other direction, looking to take out this Pack 40, and really, that's what you got to be doing over here is the third VDD, is that you have to be taking the Pack 40s, you got to be taking out those Martyrs. If you can get in knife fighting close, you still have a lot of heavy vehicles that are on the ISU-152 that you mentioned before, for example.
Yeah, and then you can use it, and goddamn, that rocket strike hit the mark. But yeah, knocking out that heavy anti-tank armor threat is going to be a priority, and honestly, not too bad. I mean, the one problem with 78th Sturm is, of course, like Nashorns, especially Nashorns. I mean, they're bloody fantastic. But on a map like this, really hard to use because they can get exposed and killed rather easily, as you can't really take advantage of that 2-kilometer range.
True.
And
True,
no armor.
Maybe you can kind of do a little bit of it in the center, but it's not really that full 2 kilometers, is it? It's like 1,600, which is a...
Yeah, it's a lot of line of sight blockers too. It's definitely the better place, just on the central hill, to deny movement, but it still can be quite difficult.
It definitely does seem to be that way. We might have a small armor engagement down to the south, and I emphasize small because we're going to have basically T-34s engaging the Martyr, which is the only true fighting vehicle left on the particular flank.
Yeah, that's such a long name.
Yeah, this isn't it.
It's like a sentence, not. Oh, yep,
Oof.
and that's the problem with Nashorns, right? Yeah.
And that's an expensive loss. Like it's one of those things. I know it makes perfect sense the cost that they've got there, but man alive, whenever I see a Nashorn go down quite that simply, I always think to myself, yeah, they're overpriced.
Yeah. I mean, 105 points is definitely not a drop in the bucket to lose one of those things, but of course, in the right situation, it can be quite deadly. And I think the PTRD squad down south is just going to knock out his Martyr probably.
Oh, absolutely.
There we go. Engine destroyed. He is a sitting duck. And this is really some, good play of anti-tank rifles. Like, anti-tank rifle squads for the Russians and Hungarians as well are just bloody deadly. As you can see, even against more heavily armored tanks, you may not kill them, but you can just score so many critical hits to make them combat ineffective.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. I like seeing these mortars. I mean, the 50mm mortar is the only one that's been brought in for right now. But regardless, I like seeing that we have this here. Could we be seeing potential? So I'm looking at the top real quick at BF-109 kind of coming back in. Another one of these rocket planes. If he gets the rockets on and takes out the T-34, potentially? Okay, I was waiting to see if we're going to see some sort of maybe push because of that. Not sure I really like their chances. Yes, sir?
The North has been really quiet. Like, it's sort of been very concentrated down south. I expect to see, a little bit of skirmishing up north from both players, maybe try to relieve some pressure on this southern hill, but apparently not. And we still have this, huge heap of pioneer squads in the forest here. It's going to be quite a pain in the ass to dig out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. T-34-76, Maxim over here, they should be able to take out the Flak 38. I mean, this is not something that should be super concerned with. It's more just that constant small kind of stunning, that constant small kind of criticals that we should be thinking about here.
Yeah.
There's a Niki Guard squad trying to come around as we have a pincer movement here, but I still don't really relish their chances.
No, they're definitely... Yeah, the guard autos definitely have the better chance, but those flame pioneer squads are nasty because they hit you up with the satchel charge, because they also have a hidden satchel charge, and then the flamethrower 1-2 combo. And in a forest fight, those weapons are just you just die, really, as you clearly see. Yeah, just burned and blown up, not all ready to go.
I do think I do like this kind of, let's call it, more considered fallback. He doesn't benefit from trying to engage on the Russian side of the lines. He doesn't have that kind of big kind of push that he can do. Although in prepared positions, we are seeing them be able to maybe even fight these ultimate cheekies to a standstill, which is just shocking to see.
Yeah, ultimate cheekies in this sort of engagement don't really have the upper hand in dense forest fights against flamethrower satchel charge combo. In a light forest, they do actually perform a bit better because they have a slight range advantage over the flamethrowers and satchels. But really, to deal with that nasty flame blob, and I've dealt with this playing with Red Storm, it's really just try to mortar the hell out of the forest.
But the funny thing is that the 50mm mortar, I'm going to show up over here, at least on my screen, the suppression and the blast is not as big as it might have been otherwise. You could see right now, it kept dropping rounds down and barely did any real suppression damage.
Yeah, I think at closer range it's definitely more accurate,
Sure.
but it's much more of a pinpoint weapon. Like, you need to have the infantry squad spotted, which can be a difficulty in the forest. Highly recommend recon playing for dealing with that issue.
Sure.
But he bombs, anything indirectly which can, you know, blow up the trees from afar is really going to be his best bet, because this is a roadblock for him in regards to just trying to take his southern hill. And Herr was exploiting this. He's got that roadblock set up, and he's moving through, you know, the southern northern forest here and making lovely progress.
He certainly does seem to be doing that, doesn't he?
Yeah, he has a whole lot of armor here too. He's got 2 Stugs, a 3rd run, 4th run being brought in, the Marder 2 leader. He also has an Aberrath on the hill, as well as 2 Flak 88 already set up, so a pretty decent anti-aircraft net. Herr Roberts definitely taking advantage of that, you know, Sturm assault that you want to be doing in 78th.
Well, the Nable's going to be actually attacking that M42 over here, so 45mm in the center part of the map. Makes a good amount of sense. I always think that the M42 definitely punches above its weight, and especially when you have those lighter assault vehicles like the Stug, you don't want to be putting those and trying to go toe-to-toe with the Russian anti-tank guns. It's not going to come out happy for you.
Yeah, it was M42s may look pretty... pretty weak, especially if they're lower AP ammunition count, but they can prove to be such a pain. I also very much happy at Crisp has priced them at 42 points. You know, it's just perfect. Never balance out, Crisp. Keep it the same.
The gold standard of the Red Storm 44.
Yeah. You know, the Panther 3 should be 3 points as well, just saying.
Okay, that's about all they're worth.
Yeah.
But you know what? I have to agree with you. I think the force multiplier here is much better if you can get 2 or 3 of them not having to worry about men moving around their flanks, just going toe-to-toe. You want to go toe-to-toe with an SU-85, 2 or 3 to 1? Yes, let's do it. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, this is going to be a really nasty force that Gearhead is going to have to deal with. There's all the armor here. I mean, the Descent Iki can't really do too much, especially with the infantry. A lot of nasty infantry, the Flamethrower Pioneers, lead in the race, so... I mean, we are just entering into B phase right now. It's actually pretty even, and time is on Gearhead's side. It's now where he starts to get the point advantage. But map control is starting to look a little bit nasty if Herr Robert can make his southern push happen.
You know, I forgot that those Razvedkas had the SVT 40s that legitimately are... They feel like their sniper rifles that almost fire like armor-piercing ammunition. I don't know, just watching some of this Bakhlit shooting squad come in, and there's little puffs of fire behind it. I'm thinking to myself, those incendiary rounds? What the deuce are those? It's always a bit of a shock there. Checking up on the north. Yes, sir? Mm-hmm.
It's just like in a Sniper Elite where you blow up tanks with, by shooting the, you know, the oil barrels.
Oh, absolutely.
The fuel tanks, there we go. Which is completely silly, but it's Sniper Elite, so you just gotta go along with it.
Well, that's how you know. That's when you shoot Hitler in the testicles as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I like how every game has that mission. It's just the gimmick DLC. It's like, oh, you can shoot Hitler.
Yeah, but you know, Sniper Elite was one of those games that was kind of funny to me. We have this guy who moves like a cat when he walks, but when he runs, he sounds like a 3-ton elephant. Never understood that. Never understood that. Sturmovic's 37mm. I mean, we're seeing continual just building of material. We are seeing a bit of a tentative push across here the center. Veteran Schutzen moving on in with the LMGs. The Superiors, though, I think would be more than a match with them if the Schutzen close to that minimum range. You cannot do that against Superiors. Really, engineer squads have any stripe, so...
Yeah. But he's going to be moving in closer with guard units, and yeah, just not going to perform well, as we're going to clearly see. He's really misallocating resources using guards in these fights. He needs his Abdos and Superiors in these southern forests to really get the advantage, so to speak.
Well, that's the weird thing. I feel like it's... I'm not going to say it's a bit of a mixed bag, but it is a bit of a mixed bag. We see... Ooh, 76 mil barrage is going to be dropped in the south. But we're going to be seeing this consistent thing where we have this mismanagement of infantry, and I think the Germans have been doing a much better job of allocating or reallocating the infantry assets as necessary.
Yeah, so I definitely agree. What is saving Gearhead right now is all the fire support with the Maxim gun, the 45mm and that 37mm, keeping the Germans' head pinned down in that forest. You're also seeing Herr Robert trying to push for the southern town, moving from veteran Schutzens over rather open territory here. The Suzuki is providing a bit of fire support. It'd be interesting to see if Herr Robert can actually get a foothold into that town. That is a lucrative spot. I mean, that's not one, not two, but 3 flags he can flip over to his side.
If.
Yeah.
If.
It's just like the Spartans.
76 mil barrage in the meantime comes on down, and we have some devastating material.
Yeah, goddamn. That's like 100-round barrage that are gonna be pinning down the Germans for the time being. But Herr Robert still has those Sugs, and really down south, Gearhead doesn't have anything to do with him. Seeing a neighbor Alpha strike, trying to hit the 37mm, not really doing too much. A second run onto the town here, and that might be enough to pin down the Superiors and allow the Schutzens to come in and clear up the town. And there's a Tiger as well.
Do you think that's going to be enough to do it?
I think so. I think he's pinned down enough in the town to use his 2 Schutzen squads to finish up the job, and he has the Tiger and the Stug on the hill providing fire support. You are seeing an ISU being brought in, so... I mean, the Tiger does have the high ground, so I'm going to have to give it to him.
Yeah, but you know what? Size matters in these fights. Size definitely matters in these fights. In the ISU, you cannot discount the fact that that is a scary, scary gun.
Yeah. It's slow firing gun, so if he misses, he's buggered.
Yes. Yes, definitely is the case. We are going to have BF-109 making a gun run over here in the south. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing... Yep, there we go. And this is going to be a flag that's definitely going to turn to the Germans, I'm sure.
Beautiful airstrike, right, yeah. Like, those 109s with heavy rockets have been lovely for Herr Robert, and that is just completely clearing the southern flank here, allowing Herr Robert to move up his tanks. If we can get Zug onto the edge of that hill, it's pretty much the southern flank done for.
Oh,
the Tiger getting... he's a bit close to some of Iki's down south, but gonna be able to survive.
At least for now, yes. There's an S-85 and T-34-76 looking to stem the breakout. I don't know that I like their chances. I was going to say they are going to take out the Martyr for sure, without a doubt. But I don't like the chances otherwise. Tiger in the center goes down, I think, courtesy of the ISU-122. But I don't. Yeah, there's the corpse just to the east of the Stug. That's my understanding at the beginning of the match.
Yeah, ISU getting a good kill, but now if his driver killed, he's more of a anti-tank gun position, encased in armor, rather than an assault gun.
Yep.
It's just a gun. The assault's been removed.
Exactly. So, Stug, in the meantime, they are going to go and deploy and try to take out this material down to the south. This might be the end of the German breakout here. Tiger is going to attempt to go toe-to-toe with everything else. Tracks are broken. Yikes. I think that was the ISU firing down. No, that wasn't the ISU. What the heck was that? That wasn't the 37 was it?
Was that the 37mm? Was he showing side armor? Wait, I'm trying to... No, the Tiger is showing rear.
Oh my gosh.
Tiger, like... What are you doing? Front towards the enemy, come on. That is a pathetic way to lose a tiger, holy moly.
That is certainly one of those this end up kind of ideas here.
Yeah, but the thing is, Herr Robert, even though he took some heavy tank losses, it's a 16-8. So he's doing pretty good in terms of flags, and that's really all that matters. He's almost cleared out the town down south. I feel like Gearhead really needs to try and relieve some pressure by attacking up north, and he's doing it a little bit. Got some aftos sneaking through the forest, and some veteran descent need keys to try and clear through. But once again, they're not exactly the best CQC fighters, and there's flame pioneers.
Certainly does seem to be the case. We are going to see a push to the south. 5 squads trying to go and support there. To the northern side, like you said, we have... I don't know if this is Herr Robert trying to press advantage someplace else, or if this was just a happenstance. Like, the way that troops are deployed doesn't tell me that this wasn't a concerted push.
With the Stugs up north?
Well, with the Schutzen and the Flam Pioneers and the SDKFZs, like, it doesn't tell me this was a push. This was lines that got pierced and are now paying the price.
Yeah. I'm really curious here why he brought 3 Stugs up north. As I understand he's realizing, shit's going down up north, but that's a lot of tanks, right? I feel like he needs more infantry and, like, anti-tank gun placements rather than assault guns, unless he's gearing up to do... I actually think he's gearing up to do an assault. I take it back, because he's got the off-map artillery being brought in, so he'll probably just drop it where the descent need key comradely is, blow them to smithereens, and then assault them with the assault gun.
You are a genius. Look at this.
Thank you, Khan. Sometimes my brilliance scares me.
It certainly scares me. IL-2 in the center, by the way. We're going to see HE clusters. Goodbye, Ersatz Truppen. We hardly liked you anyway. Ugh. As you might expect, he goes down, not with a bang, but with a whimper.
Yeah.
I am fascinated by this northern barrage, though.
Same. I mean, feels like it needs more recon as the slugs by themselves, so they're just going to get overextend and then get killed, but that artillery strike when it comes down in a minute, because this is Red Storm, artillery takes forever and a half to drop into position, will be deadly, because there's 210 mil. Yeah, one of the slugs already dies to T-34 because he didn't see it.
Which I was going to say was weird, but then I realized that his infantry is not successfully placed to get eyes on.
Yeah, they're definitely more in a defensive posture right now. I mean, Herr Robert's been doing very good with his infantry play, but he's been losing quite a lot of tanks to silly means.
I guess here's the question. The legs looking long-term. 78th Sturm, if they lose vehicles at this particular kind of rate, I'm not going to say, oh, can they go and hold the line? But what do their anti-tank assets look like?
I think he's going to be fine, because he has a crap ton of Tigers and C-Phase, and he still has a lot of Nashorns as well. So he can afford availability rise to lose Tigers, but point rise once you get to C-Phase, his income plummets, which is going to be the difficulty.
Unfortunately for him, the artillery strike is going to come just as all of the Russians move out. Ironically, this might be one of the few times that being a commander is not the right place to be, is behind the front lines.
Yeah, definitely paying the price for letting his troops take a assault here. But it will be an interesting push as both sides are gearing for an attack and forcing to attack each other head on now.
It's kind of like the 40k strategy, you know? Or like Star Wars prequels kind of stuff, where it's like, oh yes, guys, we do a frontal charge, they'll never expect that.
Like all the battles over the Isonzo River in the First World War.
Oh my gosh, you're absolutely right, yes, Luigi Cardona. Oh my gosh.
What were you thinking? The 11th time it'll work, I swear.
Yeah, so what he's talking about, folks, is a crazy, crazy thing. Actually, if you want to listen to a great podcast that talks about this, go to the Lions Led by Donkeys. They do a fantastic episode about Luigi Cardona and the 12 battles? Yeah, the 12 battles.
Yeah, 12 battles.
Oh my gosh.
If at first you don't succeed, try and try and try and try and just keep trying again.
It's a small corollary to that. If at first you don't succeed, flog the men who get back. Oh my gosh, a true Lions Led by Donkeys in that case. And I can't even make Italian jokes. Those guys are just poor, poor guys.
Yeah, really sucks.
The northern flank has folded, which is weird. Like, I thought that officers would keep the front lines a little bit more contained here, but no, the Comrati is not able to put up with this kind of firepower of that magnitude.
Yeah, I think the artillery, even though it dropped a little bit far, I mean, it's still 210 millimeters, you know, and to be entirely accurate to trace out guys, and the Desetniki have definitely taken pretty heavy casualties. This is about getting those stugs into a good position. I mean, once again, they don't really have much reconnaissance, and another one's going to go down there, so not perfect. But hey, there's a J188, which is going to just carpet bomb the everlasting crap out of that hill. Holy crap.
Yeah, and, you know, that's kind of what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
Oh
but
my gosh.
I like how he managed to capture the flag where the veteran Shuchenjav is afterwards behind enemy lines. That is... the front lines in Red Storm just get really crazy sometimes, as we can see.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's what I appreciate about it, though, is that in this particular mod, the free-flowing lines make sense.
Yes, it's... people do complain that it does get a little bit aggressive and does look a little bit silly, but it definitely rewards you in actually setting up defenses along the front line, not having... I mean, you're going to have weak points, but trying to clog in those weak points, but it also allows you to effectively exploit enemy weak points as well. Essentially what I'm trying to say is that the mod definitely encourages you doing aggressive plays over less contested areas, rather than just hitting head-on in a stalemate tunnel fight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And let's be fair, this is, at least it's not the whole 5149 nonsense we used to see back in vanilla SD44, so...
Yeah. But this northern pusher is... I mean, I'm surprised that Herr Robert's doing so well up north. We are seeing reinforcements here from Gearhead, but this is going to be great for him, because he's already doing good down south, so if he's doing good up north, that's going to be even better. You know, actually looking down south, the situation is starting to look a little bit dire for Mr. Robert. He's lost control over that southern hill. The town has pretty much been recaptured here from Gearhead. Like, yeah, I think Gearhead is actually gearing up for a southern assault.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And looking at the forces that are there to kind of go and maybe stop him, I don't know that's going to be the case. Sturmschützen, good start, but that's not going to be enough to hold back, you know, the T-34. That's not going to be enough to hold back really any kind of committed artillery fire, which I know we're not seeing a ton of at the moment, but there's always that possibility.
Yeah. There's a whole heap of Russians down south, and looking at the quality of the southern... I mean, yeah, we have some Ersatz trooping, but... And we should have quite a few flame pioneers, actually. So yeah, Herr Robert still has quality infantry. I was going to make the argument, but we're going to see how this will go. I mean, once again, he's moving like regular rifle teams, like DP squads into the forest, which is not a good allocation of infantry for Gearhead. It really needs to be exclusively throwing in Avtos and Superiors in there.
I'd like to think that what he was doing, and I was hoping he was going to do this until the Superiors kind of made this weird, you know, flanking maneuver here. What I would like to have seen is I would have liked to seen using the DPs as being kind of fixing the enemy positions, and at that point then turning around and, I don't want to say modifying things, but allowing them to kind of clean up what remains, you know?
Yeah. Belanis is going to be leading the charge here, fighting some rather nice infantry fire support. But it's just become a messy CQC fight as Superiors and Sturmschützen and Pioneers all just circle around each other.
Well, and I don't know if you guys have ever been through an engineering fight, but those guys, they are bloodthirsty.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about, like, you know, guys here in this particular material. I'm talking about real-life engineers. Man, those guys are brutal. Meantime, though, we had JU188 was dropped. No, he didn't even drop his rounds, did he?
Nope.
No, he did not. Jeez.
The Messerschmitts coming in for more strikes. Going after the ISU.
Messerschmitts have been the saving grace, I think.
Yeah, definitely been quite helpful in just knocking out those key unit. You know, I do like how Gearhead is actually gearing up. I keep saying gearing up. I'm not actually doing that for the intentional pun.
Yes,
but
is.
He is. God damn it, Khan. But he is making like a conceited effort through the central position now, which is a good weak point which he can exploit. I mean, he's very almost got out one flag by the farmstead, and I think he is definitely overextended with that ISU.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as you saw, just getting hit by 2 Messerschmitt strikes. Not a good day to spend runs afternoon, and he does go down due to just the napalm after effects of those rockets.
Yeah, I think it goes a little bit deeper than that, to a certain extent. I think it's
the flames definitely did inside the tank.
Oh, no, I meant more about the fact that he almost has to be aggressive here. Like, yes, the ISU-122 is definitely overextended. I think he was hoping to get and use that forest there, at least that's like a firing position. Of course, if he rotates north or south, he covers an extensive amount of his backing. And as you can see right now, he's moving the Maxim, he's moving into that DP squad. This MG-42 is going to cut him to pieces in about a second and a half. But if he can get any kind of infantry in there, that is nigh impregnable without any kind of artillery to kind of shift him out.
Yeah, it'd be a really good position for him to hold on to once you get into that little forest where the MG-42s are, but I feel like this is a mistake holding fire. He really wants to be shooting now before they get closer. But even then, I mean, defensive position, MG-42, nasty stuff.
Well, ISU goes down to a naval warfare strike, which is always delicious there. And the JU-188, oof, that is a bad death.
Oh, wow.
It's a very bad death. It's 175 points down the drain. Didn't get a whole lot done with it, honestly.
Holy crap, those things are expensive. Well, it might have been the 135 point run, but even then, that is expensive.
You're right. It might have been the other one, but I think the heavier bomb load is the 175.
Yeah. Either way, that's still big plane, no longer flying.
Absolutely.
Which happened to lots of planes in World War II. They were big and then they stopped flying for some reason. Maybe the flag might have something to do with it. I'm gonna have to do some further investigation.
I love the old story that some guy was like, we need to figure out what to put more armor on planes. And they're like, well, guys make it back with holes in these spots, and therefore must armor that. And the guy eventually was like, wait a second. These are the places they can continue to fly. Genius! Make that man a bird, Colonel.
Yeah. That's such a cool story, because it's just a very interesting way of thinking around a problem.
Well, it's just making another problem completely in my mind, but yeesh.
Yeah, down south here, we've got some T-34s on the hills, and Gearhead actually flipping it to a 15-9 now, just due to his southern aggression, making some fantastic plays here. I mean, his T-34's close range, there's not a whole lot of stugs, and really, one of the problems I think which is gonna run into for Herr now, is that he's probably out a lot of his Marders and stugs. So his only real armor left is Nashorn's Tigers. They're great, but at this point in sea phase, they're bloody expensive. So it's going to be very hard for him to bring these, units onto the field, while Gearhead still has T-34s left over.
Exactly, and that's kind of the concern, isn't it? Is that it's very, very true that we have some excellent kind of long-range fire. See, for example, it depends if it's going to be shooting again on this ISU-122. We have the naval rifles going like crazy. In fact, a lot of these munition trucks are pretty much Winchester and ammunitions, but his infantry's not able to hold the line. His tanks are getting outmatched 2 and 3 and 4 to 1. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, and also the income curve. I mean, it's not too bad. It's only a 30th point difference or so, but still, it's not a good position to be in. Your Herr still has he still has a good point advantage over Gearhead, so he does have time to try and recuperate. He still has very excellent infantry, of course, but I feel like his armor disadvantage is going to be a pain in the bum, because those T-34s are really designed to be very deadly on this map.
That's true, but not when he loses 2 of them to a single grenadier squad like we just saw down south.
Oh, that is a bit sad, yeah, for those T-34s, but try you bring a recon.
Well, into the north, we took it away from the north with the more southern aggression, but the northern aggression, the Germans are making a resurgent push. 5 squads seem to be, I don't know. I don't think it's going to do a whole lot. I think the idea is nice,
This northern push?
I'm sorry?
I feel like his northern push is gonna go pretty well, because once again, Gearhead doesn't have. I mean, he does have one Avto squad there, but as you see, the veteran descents are just gonna really take some heavy fire from the flamethrower pioneers. Actually, no, they're holding pretty well. Never mind.
I think part of that's because of the green cover as opposed to anything else. And, you know, even if there's going to be a secret handshake explosive that gets thrown out there, you still get awful close for that.
I also forget, the Descent EQ troops also have ambush specialists, and as well as the veteran trait, as well as the guard Descent EQ trait. So even though they don't have the best loadout for CQC, just all that extra bonuses definitely help out a bunch, especially ambush specialists. That is, I think, one of the best traits to have in a forest fight. But down south, Gearhead is spearheading his way through, almost taking that farm complex once again of his T-34s, flanking around the hill. I feel like this southern side is begging to collapse.
I mean, it's true, but at the same time, we got 2 martyrs, we got another Pack 40 being brought on in, we have a Tiger being brought on in. I think this is going to be something where the artillery is going to get turned upon this particular direction. I think, unfortunately, the artillery is actually shelling the wrong area completely, but that's a different concern.
Yeah. I mean, the T-34s are definitely not going to survive the night, I believe, but I feel like Gearhead will be able to at least get his infantry into an advantageous defensive position to deter any movement from the armor from Herr Robert's side. Trying to counter battery these anti-aircraft guns, and it just hasn't been working all that well.
The converse has not been true. Veteran Descendikis in the meantime moving on forwards to DPs and fast patrons. Against Stormschützen, this really should be ending in one way and one way alone.
Yeah. When you have 13 assault rifles, you should win most fights.
The DPs are given surprisingly good accounting of themselves.
Yeah.
Huh. Still one more squad in here in the meantime. Most of the Stormschützen, they might even pick up both these T-34s. Isn't going to be pretty, or easy for that matter, but they might be able to pick up the T-34s, and that's going to be pretty, big enough kills right there. And we're back to a 12-12, which is just as important.
Yeah, this match has been, pretty back and forth. I mean, we're 37 minutes in, so the first sudden death tick has taken place, so the victory counter will be much more aggressive, and that will be the same thing when you reach 45 minutes. So this is where things start to get pretty tense, when it can really go either side, really. And it's just looking nuts. Just look down South Con, front line is, I don't know what to make of it. It looks like a silly face.
True.
It's 2 eyes and a long nose.
Oh, it's have some Escher painting. Yes. Yeah. Or Fraggle.
Yeah.
I think of Fraggle. Yeah. That's for my 90s folks out there. If you have any idea what I'm talking about, thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks for stopping on by for this history lesson. Nebelwerfer and Panzerwerfer continues to kind of shell the middle. I would like to see more of their fire directed down to the south, hitting these arterials, because at this point, it's like the Ho Chi Minh Trail up in here.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm just zoomed in down south, or zoomed out, I should really say, and it's just a mess. I mean, we have German infantry in pockets behind enemy lines. We have Gearhead moving all his infantry through, and he has a lot of infantry. It's just a slow and steady advance to clear out his German enemy. So up north, Herr Robert has made pretty good progress in capturing that hill at least. So it's definitely relieving a little bit of pressure, but I mean, down south it's just not pretty. I mean, Gearhead even managed to get into the central southern hill position with just a superior squad.
You might say he's feeling rather superior?
I think so, especially being up on top of that hill. Must have been a bit of a jog to get up it.
Well, it looks like it's going to be who's going to be the better Flame War Trooper over here. Also, this is that Super Command Tiger over here, isn't it? The Kampfführer.
No, I believe it's just a regular leader one. You have the Super Commander one, the support type Commander one has the orange icon.
Right. You're right.
but he is still leading, and from the front with an 88mm gun. So he's providing a good example for his troops.
And yet at the same time, that's the wrong idea, dude. You have an 88mm gun, your place is 2 kilometers behind the front line. One T-34 in the meantime kind of going and threatening to hold a position. You also have Maxims being rushed on in to maybe set up a secondary defensive line along the northern flank. Even as the southern continues to march forward, the northern looks more and more frail, all things considered.
Yeah, I don't feel like Gearhead is going to have any good chance of retaking this northern area. It's just a whole lot of scary German infantry in there. And Gearhead just doesn't... I mean, once again, he's going to be throwing guarded troops, not after Machikis, into the forest. And against Sturmschützens and Pioneers, not going to go great unless he has some sort of artillery, which he doesn't.
Well, at least down to the south, we do see the machine gun has finally been taken on out, and that becomes an Axis, an Soviet forest. The Axis forest exists up to the north, so...
Yep. And we're back to a trove, 40 minutes in. I have no idea who's going to win this match, Khan.
Well, and that's the thing. I just feel like it's gonna be we're gonna go into one of those matches where it's the punch-drunk fighters just so completely knocked to bejesus that they're both seeing God, but you know, for one of them it's going to be the oncoming train.
Indeed, it real.
But Russia's making their push over here to the northern flank. Germans trying to contain here down to the south, and yep, we're seeing other Panzer being brought on in. And as much as I deplore the loss of digital life, I applaud the use of artillery and the consistent use of rocket artillery because we just don't get to see it. And 78th Sturm is one of those few guys who get both of those little fun toys to work with.
Yeah, we've seen like a lot of rocket artillery strikes. It's not something we really see all that often. I mean, he's pretty much just negated all use of mortars in favors of a bunch of Nebelwerfers, and they've been all right. I mean, I feel like he shouldn't be using them to knock out anti-aircraft pieces at long range, but in the more, like as you've been saying, more direct approach, knocking out these infantry blobs of angry Russian paratroopers, definitely is a much better use of those Panzers and Nebelwerfers.
Well, it's just like these BF-109s really should be doing what they do right now. Hit the support teams. There's a Maxim team that's just got taken out, and another one's got a little bit of pressure on them. This is what you need to do. Your infantry can handle his infantry one-on-one, generally. So, let your guys do what they do best.
Yeah. Yeah, down south, it's just...
That slow grind, isn't it?
Yes, it's just gonna be a grind. I mean, Herr Robert's not in the best position. I mean, he has a small foothold on that southern hill of his Sturmschützens, and trying to get into the upper forest by the road is getting a bit deadly, with Gearhead still holding the farm complex. But, oh, the Flam Pioneer behind enemy lines kills the lone guy, kills the anti-aircraft beast. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, that was great. I was waiting for him to do something, and he did it spectacularly.
I confess to me, I've been watching this poor Sturmschützen down to the south, just kind of slowly watch the red tide, come nearer and nearer,
Yeah. Gonna be very happy as those assault rifles, but, the T-34s, and Sturmovikis, and Sturmovikis are pretty much the Russian equivalent of those Flam Pioneers with explosives. So,
Absolutely.
Those Sturmschützens aren't gonna have a good day.
No, they're not. And it's not going to be much better as... I'm sorry. I was thinking about the Ju-188 that just came up to the north and got completely stressed out. And to me, I feel like that there's a bunch of palms basically all over the place. I get it. You get it. We know there's going to be a ton of them in the center part of the map. Why not work the flanks a little bit? Like down to the south. At this point, your Sturmschützen, is going to get flooded. Just by looking the way that the front line's moving, there's a ton of infantry over here in the trees. Why not go after the trees? Even if it's a blind bombing run, why not go there?
Yeah, he really needs to, especially now, to try to knock out Gearhead's infantry. Not so much because they're the deadliest threat, but more so they hold the territory which Herr Robert needs to get his boots on.
Well, and quantity has a quality all of its own, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, we're gonna get to the 45-minute mark, so the bleed is gonna get even deadlier. But it's a trove. I feel like Gearhead has a slight advantage in this match. Just he has pretty good territory, but I mean, Herr Robert can still flip this around.
He can. It's possible. I'm not saying it's likely, but it is possible.
Yeah, so I feel like Gearhead is also out of like his T-34s, like medium tanks. So really, both sides are relegated to use ISUs and Tiger tanks in a heavy tank brawl.
I think I'm a little bit more concerned about the fact that if you're looking at the anti-tank infantry from both sides, the one I'm more nervous about, and we brought this up in the first 10 minutes of the match overall, are the Soviets. I'm actually not that terrified of the Shrek squads, because the Shrek squads you gotta get ridiculously close to kind of manage. And that doesn't seem to be quite the same case over here with the PTRDs. The PTRDs just continue to just get criticals and just annoying little hits and scrape off paint flakes one by one consistently.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so bloody good. Especially when you can position them on the enemy supply line road to snipe units coming in. Like, we've seen that in cars multiple times in Red Storm, just how deadly that can be.
All along last, we're seeing another flak reeling being brought on in. And yes, guys, remember, of course, like was said before, this may not be an actual flak reeling, although I think at this point in the match, this is going to be the
It's the proper entry, yeah. This is a proper one.
Another Ju-188 goes down because he tried to fly it right back through where he knew all the anti-aircraft guns were. So, like,
yeah, he needs to do it in he really just needs to do it in big blobs.
Yeah. As much as I hate that idea of sacrificing one to get through, you gotta do something drastic now. We see in the meantime, looking down to the south, T-34 on the ridge, they go down. One veteran pioneer, though, I don't think is going to be enough to turn back this tide. There's not. It's just, especially in that southern forest, it doesn't matter if some things are pinned down or not.
Yeah.
Just checking up north and south in the ZIS-2 over here. Well, he's doing good old Stalin's work. He's pounding the snot out of those Stugs. So.
Yeah, gonna be denying Herr Robert from making more offensive plays, but once again, Gearhead can't really effectively fight over that forest. There's too many scary German infantry. He's moving some descent Redevkas into the air, but they're not gonna be all that useful, really.
Very, very true. And mortars are starting to drop back in again. Geez, this is the 120. Yep, there's the 120 mil. So those guys right there, a little late to the party, but no less deadlier for being that tardy, let's say.
Yeah. There we go. Gearhead's got the 1410 as a 3-minute bleed. Herr Robert, I mean, he doesn't have much time, and he needs to get something happening now. I feel like both sides can definitely exploit making something happening in the center.
I think so. I agree. The IL-2 down to the south, yep, there's a flak reeling just shelling that IL-2, and naturally the IL-2 is blithely not caring whatsoever.
Yeah. I just loved seeing all the ricochet shots off that Tiger.
Yes, yes.
That was really cool.
It was like a Vegas fountain show or something like that.
Yeah. But with deadly anti-tank round. Well, not that deadly in that case, really. Just gave the Tiger crew a bit of a concussion.
Hey,
which is probably a little bit deadly.
That's a silent killer right there.
It is.
Piece by piece, though, we are seeing the Germans are getting dragged down bit by bit.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, I'm trying to think where Robert can get these flags. I mean, he's very close to getting that one in the farmstead. The Southern Hill one is that one T-34 holding back the Tiger and infantry. I don't know if Robert's gonna take it. I feel like it's a little bit too late at this point.
I tend to think that as well. I think, unfortunately, yep, as the Tiger Fury goes down on the hill, I think at this point it's been one of those occasions where he took a couple of bad beats early on, And then his air power, as well as these BF-109s have been doing for him, the later we got, the less skillfully, in my mind, he ended up kind of deploying his air power outside of just these particular planes.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean,
think also just the income.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, and that's totally fair to make the comment about, is that it's always going to be an uphill battle. Well, it's a 13-11 still, so.
Oh.
It's always going to be an uphill battle for the German divisions to go later and later, especially when you go and roll with a Red Storm Vanguard. But flag by flag is getting taken out. The unfortunate thing is that he can't get, just that one flag, it feels like. There's a Resvedka and a Motorized Superior over here. There's a Nashorn who's got his legs broken. And so much of this action took place down on the southern flank.
Yeah.
So much of it. Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of the action really, like, most of the match was. I think Robert just managed to secure that northern side. That midpoint in the match really just secured, anything happening up here. I mean, once again, we're seeing a little bit of skirmishing, but no real major plays. It's really just a skirmish over the farmstead. And, that's going to be a GG.
And looking at the kills, death, yeah, that's exactly what you expect. It's a 51-minute slugfest. These guys are going to go and have very, very little left.
Yeah. And looking at the kills...
Afanasiev over here, 5 kills, did pretty well for himself. Kolsky, well.
Apart from that, right, yeah, the Russians are very, everyone gets killed. Everyone gets killed. And killed.
I was going to say everyone gets killed. Was that a Freudian slip there? or maybe it's a Karamazov slip. I mean, we got to go with the Russian philosophers on this one. Yeah. On the losses side, Konki, 4 kills. We have a couple of Grenadiers over here who did very well for themselves. We have Stronsky, who got 4 air kills as an 88, so well done to him. Pensive, I mean, this match could have ended a lot sooner, but for the valiant efforts of the artillery, and I would argue, those Messerschmitts. Yeah.
Definitely some very important kills there of the Messerschmitts, but, yeah, I mean, Herr Robert had some pretty good momentum early on, of course, with 78th Sturm. Very good A-phase, B-phase division in this mod, but, I mean, just only, like, the lack of a lot of, like, good, cheap, medium, and light tanks, especially in this division and also other divisions, can really screw you over in 1v1. They're so useful, especially in maps like this, where you just need, a cheap armored vehicle that can't get shot by small arms, which you can use to pin down enemy infantry and other nasty things.
Indeed.
Yeah.
That's going to be that kind of consistent thing, isn't it?
Yep.
But
that's just the problem with 78th.
Exactly. The storm happens, they bring the thunder, but every now and again, that storm's going to pass.
Mm-hmm.
But folks, I think that's going to about do it for us today. Of course, we have ourselves another wonderful replay coming to you a little bit later this week, actually on the most holy of days. But we'll get to that. We'll leave you in suspense about what is so special about Thursday. We'll let you guys get there first. Until said holy day, I'm Conolwork.
I'm Rangaroo. Take it easy.